Ever had a great round going and a poor shot comes out of nowhere that seemingly ruins your round or has the potential to? What I'm going to do today is run you through some scenarios of how to recover from those shots. Now, recovery is in a couple of different ways. First of all is, how do I think my way through? So what's my strategy? What type of shot am I going to play that is going to give me the best chance of recovering? But then there's also the mental emotional state. I might get frustrated or annoyed, which is a natural response, but how am I going to recover from that? What am I going to do about that? And what's my mental and emotional strategy? Let's have a look at a few examples. So I've hit my tee shot into the trees here. The hero in me says, I can see the pin through the trees there. I want to have a crack at it. Now, if I do that, that's all fine, but what are the consequences? If I look at the shot itself, I've got a number of trees to bypass on the way through. And more importantly, I need to consider the trajectory of the shot. So we can see a branch going across here, and golfing luck being what it is, if I try and play through there, I might hit it straight enough, but the ball will hit the branch. So I don't want to do that. My first goal in any time I'm getting into trouble, and this is the example, I've hit it off the fairway, I'm into the trees, yes, I can see the pin, there's a gap there, but am I going to get the ball through there 70 to 80% of the time? If I have 10 shots, am I likely to get it through that gap 7 or 8 times out of 10? Probably not. If I do, that one occasion that I do it, maybe I can get it up somewhere near the green, but the chances of me doing that successfully are quite small. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to play a shot out to the left of the fairway there. Now I'm definitely going to avoid the tree. I still have the consideration of tree overhang that I need to take care of. So I'm not going to take a lofted club out of here. All I want to do is run it out. Now the key thing when I'm running it out is I don't want to hit too far, because I'll go into the trees on the other side of the fairway. So my objective here is a little bit like chess. I want to set my move up, my shot up, so that the next one is going to be fairly easy. So taking it fairly easy, playing like a chip shot. In this case, I've just hit it with a 7-iron. I've got the ball out onto the fairway. No problem whatsoever. It hasn't gone so far that it's gone into the trees and the rough on the other side. Now I've got a clear shot for my next one. So yes, it's a conservative approach, but it's also the smart approach, because in the long run, I might get away with a couple, but the negative consequence of high scores on a hole, which can ruin your entire round, are very high. There's a psychological concept called ideal performance state. Now, if you think the times that you've played your best golf, it's probably when you've been out with friends, company that you enjoy being with, you're chatting, and it's almost like the golf gets in the way of the social aspect of playing golf. So you're engaged more in some non-golf things, which means that you're not thinking too much about your game, you're not getting annoyed or frustrated with shots, the weather might be great, but those occasions are not everyday occurrences. So what we need to do is we need to look at the things that are likely to lead us more into that ideal performance state. So what are some of the things that we can do? Well, first of all, if when you're playing your best golf, you're just casually chatting and then you engage with the shot when it's appropriate, not thinking about how your round's going the entire time. That's the first thing. The second thing is, if things start to come off the rails a little bit, how are you going to get back? So there's one way of doing it that seems to work really, really well. And there's a couple of steps to it. The first is that I want to control my breathing. So my breathing might become a little deeper and perhaps a little slower. And you can do this while you're walking down the fairway. And when I breathe out, I'm going to physically relax, even while I'm walking. The second is that I want to control my posture. So if my posture as I'm walking down the fairway is slumped, I'm looking at my shoes, then I need to bring my eyes up and I need to be looking forward, looking at the horizon or looking at the green or something like that. So I'm actually walking tall and walking relatively briskly, not slowly, slumped, shuffling, or dragging my feet, because the way I move is going to affect my mood. So if I'm controlling my posture and controlling my breathing, that's going to give me a really strong chance of starting to feel better, so that I'm going to be in a better state to approach the next shot. So I've left myself with quite an awkward shot here. Now, my lie's not too bad, it's a little bit bare. The pin's over the corner of the bunker though, as we can see. Now, the hero shot is to go for the pin anyway. The bunker is quite deep. If the ball doesn't get over the bunker and get onto the green, I've actually got quite a difficult bunker shot. And again, we think of consequence of the shot if it doesn't come off. So clearly the most obvious shot here is to play a shot that is going to avoid that bunker. Now, if I'm thinking maybe I can get it over the bunker in one putt, what are my chances? If we go to that 70-80% rule, am I likely to do that 7 or 8 out of 10? Only the absolute best players in the world will probably do that. That's clearly not me, and with all respect, probably not you. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to play a shot very safely out to the left. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do is I'm not going to use my lob wedge. So most people will say, well, I've got to go uphill a little bit. I'm going to use the most lofted club. Remember the mantra, if I add loft, I add risk to the shot. So I don't want to add risk to the shot. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play the shot with the pitching wedge. The ball will land short of the green, but because I'm hitting it with a lesser lofted club, it's going to give me a lot more control. So I'm just playing a little chip shot. I'm going to avoid that bunker, and the ball's safely on the green. So now my putt is not too long anyway. So it means that I've given myself a chance perhaps to one putt. It's not a short putt, so the likelihood is small, but I've got a very, very strong likelihood that I'm going to two putt at the most. And of course, had I not chosen to do that, tried to go over the bunker, had it not come off, then would have been a lot worse. So what we've looked at today is thinking strategically. I want to play a shot that is going to lead to the next one being easiest to play. I want to play a shot that is likely to be able to be executed 7 or 8 out of 10 times. I also want to control my state, because that's going to help me to be able to perform better anyway. And we sort of talked about posture and breathing for that. One way of having less of those shots that you need to recover from is hitting the ball better in the first place. And if you click the link below, you can get the 4 videos that I've created around impact and how to create good impact, so that those shots that go into the trees or get you into trouble are less likely to happen in the first place.